Welcome to Strategic Marketing 3, Implementation, Measurement, and Control. Your simulation is all about the data. It gives you way more information than you probably want to look at, but you need it to analyze it, look at it, study it, to really do well in the simulation. So you use that data, you measure it, you make adjustments, and you plan and take control of the game. Your game or simulation really gets going in quarter 3. Quarter 1 and 2 are just setup quarters. For sure, quarter 1 and 2 overlap into quarter 3. In fact, there is scheduling overlap throughout the simulation. Let's take a look at that. As with all strategic implementations, there's scheduling. You have certain tasks that you perform first, and then they overlap and get combined with other tasks as we go forward. In quarter 1, we name our company. In quarter 2, we design our first brands and set up 2 cities so that in quarter 3, those cities can sell. And this is how we will proceed through the simulation. As previously mentioned, quarter 1, we name our company and we buy our research so we can figure out where to put our stores. In quarter 2, we analyze that market information and set up shop. We design our brands and set up sales outlets. In quarter 3, we implement our brands, pricing, ad copy, media campaigns, set up our web pages, and staff our sales force. Then in quarter 4, we study the end user feedback, competition, financial performance, and we adjust our strategies and tactics. In quarter 5, we're investing in our research and development, and we should be expanding our market coverage to all 12 outlets so that in quarter 6 we have all 12. We also will begin social media campaigns and invest in search engine marketing. Then in quarter 6 through 8, we implement those new R&D features. We adjust brand designs, pricing, distribution, internet, etc. And we'll finally get some specialized training for our salespeople that allow us to put in more than 14 salespeople per outlet. Your key strategic lessons are: strategy is painful, time-consuming, and perplexing. So is this game. There's not a single solution to business problems. And there are no pure analytical solutions to business problems. But for the simulation, you will use analysis as much as possible, and you must take the time to do it in order to execute a great bike company campaign. Your next 2 key strategic lessons are: a long-term strategy is not a sequence of short-term strategies. Constant revision is required, as it is in the simulation. Next, strategy requires different mindsets. You got to wear a lot of hats. You got to be analytical, conceptual, methodical, etc. in order to execute your simulation perfectly. Now it is time for your first video lecture quiz question, which is: in what quarter do we invest in research and development, and in what quarter are we able to implement and use this new research and development? Please pause the video now and answer this question in Canvas. So the big question is, when and how to modify? We will focus on modification for the remainder of this video lecture quiz. As mentioned in a previous video lecture quiz, in quarter 4, we have to evaluate our performance and skillfully adjust. And we mentioned we got to adjust a lot. Our brands, pricing, advertising, search engine, sales outlet, Salesforce management. So at this point, I think it's time to dive into this deeper and really look at what we have to analyze and adjust in quarter 4. As long as you buy the competitive market research, you get these judgment scores, and they're the best way to really modify your brands. you get to see how your ad directly compares to the competitors' ads and what the rank is. Same with judgment. Here we see SwiftSpin has an 84 on their ad judgment and AeroCycle has a 65. Our next step is to look at the direct competitor comparisons. And we can get this for both the ads and the brands for all the competitors listed out. That is, as long as we bought the competitive market research. As you scroll down, you'll see all the ads and that everybody did and numbers for all of them. And, well, actually looks like a confusing mess, doesn't it? So what you have to do now is you highlight or check the top brand, Enjoy Your Ride by SwiftSpin, and you check your brand, AeroCycle Free Rider. And then you can compare just those two, and then you have data that makes sense. Now we have a much more manageable set of data that we can easily examine and make good decisions. So we see Leisure Ride is the top scoring ad, and GlideR, us, is the one that's not doing so good. So we look at the direct comparison and we see which items they listed, first, second, third, and so on, and what we did. And we can see the errors we made, okay? And we could copy directly Leisure Ride and get a good score. To highlight what's the most important part of this comparison is the last item there, ride and total comfort. Comfort is extremely important to the recreational bike users, and that's the big one, but probably a lot of those could have been changed from what GlideR has to Leisure Ride. For your competitive brand comparison, you just repeat what I just showed you for your ad comparisons, but pricing is different. The price score doesn't really help you that much. You got to go into the competitors' prices and look exactly at your competitor. So in this one, we're looking at SwiftSpin again, Job Navigate, Work Bike, and the AeroWork for AeroCycle. And we're going to compare their prices. And we see SwiftSpin's priced at $680 with a $50 rebate, and AeroCycle's $850 with a $100 rebate. So our difference here is about $120 more for the AeroCycle after rebate. All right, and this is a bike that is a price-sensitive target market. So being that much over is going to hurt AeroCycle. Now, SwiftSpin may have priced too low, and we may not want to go that low because maybe they're losing money. But still, we have to look at this hard and say, maybe we need to adjust down. And you can see in Asia, SwiftSpin priced quite a bit higher, about $50 higher. I'm not sure why they're so low in North America. And you don't always have to meet everybody's price, but you have to look at it and say, okay, these are my competitors. They're lower price, and if they have better brand scores and ad scores, I'm going to get buried. So this is what you do for pricing. You compare each and every bike with your competitors. We could highlight all the work bikes and see everybody's price, and that's usually what I do. But for this example, I just showed you a direct comparison of two. And then you have to do that. You do all the work bikes, you do all the youth bikes, for sure, because they're price sensitive. For rec, mountain speed, not so much. I'd still look at them, but mountain speed are not price competitive. You might want to make sure you're not too high, but you definitely want to make sure you're not too low. If everybody's pricing higher than you in mountain and speed, then you're definitely too low. It is now time for your second video lecture quiz question. And that is, which brand should you directly compare your brand score to so that you make the most appropriate brand improvement? Please pause the video now and answer this question in Canvas. In quarter 5, they're going to give you $2 million in additional funding. So what do you do with that? Well, you're going to have regional ads and paid internet advertising, but your big one is invest in R&D, and that's expensive. But your new R&D can improve your brand scores and ad scores correspondingly. When you improve the brand, then you talk about it in your ad. Okay. However, once you do those improvements in quarter 6, you must update all your brands and all your ads. And the simulation is like that. It keeps adding and you have to keep adjusting. If you just leave things alone, you're going to fail. Scorecards are used throughout business and in your simulation because if we don't measure it, we can't really manage it. These are typical scorecard evaluation measures: financial perspectives, ROIs, and contributions, share prices. Customer perspective, we have things like share, image awareness, loyalty. Internal business perspectives, we have like time to market and productivity indicators. And learning and growth perspectives, things like employee turnover, employee satisfaction, etc. Your simulation measures these 5 items for your balanced scorecard: financial performance, market performance, marketing effectiveness, investments in the firm's future, and creation of wealth for headquarters. Your simulation gives us this kind of output, the advanced balanced scorecard. It shows total performance, SwiftSpin's in first place, and then it also shows who's doing the best at each category. Financial performance is SoulCycle. SwiftSpin again is market performance, and that's part of the reason they're at the top, but they also do well in the other categories. But marketing effectiveness is Velocity Cycles. Investment in the future, EcoBike. And creation of wealth, SoulCycle. And you can see SoulCycle has 2 categories, so they're in second place and they're close. And SwiftSpin's doing pretty good in all of them. But it really breaks down all the different categories for the balanced scorecard and gives you a total performance score, which is the one you're graded on, total performance of the advanced balanced scorecard for quarters 5 through 8. Quarters 3 and 4 are dropped from the final total balanced scorecard. It's the last 4 quarters. So why does your simulation use a balanced scorecard? Well, because all these things are important for a firm's success. Long-term goals, short-term goals. You need to measure all these things to figure out, is the business going to be a successful venture? And for the most part, here's how your simulation calculates your balanced scorecard. For the final 4 quarters, quarter 5, 6, 7, 8, they'll look at financial performance as in terms of profit as a percent of sales. So are you making good profit? Second, they're looking at market performance, and they're looking at your 2 target segments, the ones you highlight. These are my key ones that I ask you to confirm after each quarter. So you better be sure you're doing well in your 2 key market segments, meaning like speed and rec. Market effectiveness, again, 2 target segments: customer satisfactions with brand and advertising design. So make sure that's where you have your good brand scores, on those 2 target segments. Investment in the firm's future, spending on new sales outlet, research and development, etc. So you need to expand each quarter, and then you'll get a good investment in the firm's future. And last, creation of wealth. You have to be making profit, total profit over total investment, and you're going to get scored on that for each quarter. Just to confirm, you're going to get a final score combining these factors for quarters 5 through 8, and that will be used to compute the final score and your grade on the simulation. Your last video lecture quiz question is, what is your simulation class grade based on? Thank you for watching, and goodbye.